where I come from, we have a similar situation like Mandela, though not that extreme. I come the lower parts of Dharaka. Dharaka is equally facing some serious drought issues. But of course, Chair, we have put some long-term mitigation, how we handle drought whenever we have such a case. So in this case now, because, Governor, you have been around for some time. You have just confessed that this is not the first time that you are facing drought in your tenure. This is the fourth time. Do you have any policy? Do you have mitigation arrangements that are permanently put in place to manage drought crisis? That maybe these things are just unforeseen. Do you have something permanent? Maybe somebody can back on.
Yep, Governor, I may respond to the four raised by Senators Chirarge and the last one by Senator Gataya before Senator Sifuna comes in.
I just want to start with my brother Senator. There is no permanent solution for this. The only solution for drought mitigation in northern Kenya is by availing animals feed, which requires heavy investment in water, so that we have feedlots where millions of acres are put under irrigation, and if it doesn't rain, then we have enough hay in our store. We have done several engagement with national government, including the head of state, and we are even looking at the regional issues around Dawa River, because the only source of water we have is Dawa River. Currently, we have started what we call Dawa River Basin Development Initiative, which is an advanced stage. And we have engaged Ethiopia, and we're actually going there again towards mid of next month to finalize on bilateral agreement, because the water along Dawa River traverses three countries. So what we are doing is to have a damming along Dawa River upstream, so that we harvest millions of liters of water. Because the unfortunate thing about Dawa River is if it rains in Ethiopian islands, or even in Mandera or in Kenya, then swap all the irrigation, the farms along the river, going to west. It's like every other time we start again all over, including our water assets along the river. So, and then if it dries like this time, it dries up. So like right now, there's no water in our river. So doing damming up there to a height of about 90-meter wall will be able to, one, to control the floods along the river, two, make sure that the water flows throughout the year. National government and partners. World Bank have shown interest in that. We had a meeting on Monday with the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Actually, will be leading the delegation. So our focus now is how do we harvest water so that we put several thousands of acres under irrigation, especially on fodder production. Because if we get fodder for livestock, the issue of poverty, the issue of drought will have been things of past. Coming to Senator Sifuna's
Sifuna has not yet spoken.
Yeah, and he's my friend. Maybe I started with him. And also Senator Chere is also a friend of mine. And they call themselves pastoralists when they are not, sometime on Ajita or Pugaji. So on him, I think he has asked several questions.
Stop provoking my members.
But yeah,
you will land in a lot of problems. Just go straight to the audit query.
On the budgeting, in fact, we had an emergency a cabinet meeting on executive committee meeting on emergencies. In fact, if you look at the cost of intervention, is huge. Even the numbers we are measuring here is not going to be enough. But we have people who are very, very compassionate, and they even sometimes extend us wait for us even when we give them service and pay a little money, and then they can wait for us to pay them later years. But these numbers, if we talk of the education, if we talk of the primary school feeding, if we talk of water tracking, if we talk of borehole, is actually very little compared to what we are doing. But I can assure you, we have no luxury of buying feeds for wildlife. Our problem is huge. We are struggling with how to save our livelihood, which is a livestock. So I can confirm that we have been very prudent in our way of managing things, and we have really tried our best to make sure that lives and livelihood of our people are safe. Thank you.
Auditor General, just to maybe before, just to deal with the specifics, because I think we have spent too much time on the broad policy interventions. This is an accountability meeting. OAG, you have reported that the county spent 32.8 million on water tracking. Can you give us the assurance that this 32.8 million from your analysis was spent on water tracking? Your job is to give us an assurance. And when you're giving us an assurance, tell us the test that you carried out. You have also told us that 55.9 million was spent on seedlings in a county that has perennial drought situations.
What type of seedlings?
Can you give us the assurance that the 55.9 million worth of seedlings are traceable, and tell us the test that you carried out? You have also reported that 349 million was spent on relief food items. Give us the assurance and tell us the test that you carried. If you assure us, we will move to the next issue.
Chair, can I add also to Patrick? Also, with the cash transfers, there is a cash transfer of 12 million to elderly. Can he give us the test on how that cash transfer of 12 million was achieved? And to add on seedlings, which kind of seedlings are these?
Okay, so let's deal with the numbers first. Let's just get this assurance from the OAG, because if the OAG gives us an assurance, then we have very limited room to doubt.
Thank you, Chair. What was the first assurance?
That 32.8 million spent on water tracking, that you are able to see the documentation and you are able to carry out some tests to confirm that 32.8 million indeed was spent on water tracking. The next one was 55.9 million spent on seedlings. You just give us the assurance on the test you carried, the 12 million on cash transfers, and the 349 million on relief food items.
Yeah, maybe out of ignorance, one would be interested to know what kind of farming is practiced in Mandela.
Sorry, Senator?
I mean, out of, maybe I don't know, one would be interested to know what kind of farming is practiced in Mandela.
Maybe can I?
No, you will respond. Let the Auditor General first deal with the facts, then you will respond.
Thank you, Chair. For the issue of water tracking, we did the analysis. We looked at even from the procurement point of view, how the water tracks were sourced, if they were delivered, but on a sample basis. So we are able to have the numbers of the vehicles that tracked and the recipients. And that was our test. That was there a need for water tracking? Is there a need? How are the water tracks sourced? And was the water delivered to the intended purpose?
Seedlings?
Seedlings?
55.9 million of seedlings?
Okay.
This is in your report. This is in your report. They are not figures that we have come up with. Actually, it's in the governor's report. So really, it's a governor who should respond, but he might tell us stories. You are the one who provides assurance. So give us that assurance.
Thank you, Chair. Again, for the seedlings, we use the same process. how were the seedlings sourced and the need for the same. Again, this would not do 100%, it's just on a sample basis. We could look at an item. Was there need for the count to purchase the seedlings? How was it procured? And then finally, how was it delivered? And we did a test check because sometimes you could call one of the recipients just to confirm. Some were positive, as calls went unanswered.
You're just making calls because
Yes.
seedlings is something you need to see. 55 million worth of seedlings is how many seedlings? Governor, 55 million worth of seedlings, that would be how many?
Can I respond to all?
No. I think it's almost, we just need to be specific. I'd wanted to release you at 1 to go for prayer, but we might spill over a little bit. So 55 million worth of seedlings, how many were they?
No, I don't have the numbers, but I can tell the question that what type of
No,
farming do
don't answer that.
we-
Deal
we-
with
we
55
have-
million worth of
we
seedlings.
have seedlings along we supply to farmers along the river, all the way from BP1 to Malkamari, that is one. All types of seeds, maize, and then the vegetables.
Governor, maize does not come from seedlings.
Yeah, he's a prolific maize eater.
We are
So he
talking about
knows.
seedlings.
Now
You know,
touched you, eh?
it's the coding. It's the coding. All the farm products we put
No,
under that.
if the purchase is seedlings, it cannot be maize seedlings.
Yeah, let's not offend maize.
Okay.
Usiguze mrima.
Nisiguze mahindi.
Usiguze mahindi. Just
Okay,
tell us,
okay.
ini seedlings gani ya 55.9 million in a drought-ravaged county?
It is
That's
not-
the interest
yeah.
that we want to find out.
One time I said during the rains, and even when there's no rains along our river, we farm. I'm sure those of you who have visited Mandera have seen that. Including the schemes, the BP1, we have the BP1 scheme, the RSA scheme, the Chantole schemes, all those schemes we give them seeds.
So if, for example, we left Nairobi to come and oversight the 55.9 million worth of
Yes,
seedlings,
yes.
where do we find them? In the river?
Along the river.
So we just walk along the river, any tree that is growing
Not
is
tree.
a seedling from the county.
No, not really the farms and the schemes. We have schemes.
Okay, so OG, OG, so how did you go about confirming that 55.9 million was indeed spent on seedlings?
Thank you, Chair. As I said, it was up basis, but teams went out, even to the schemes.
Yeah.
And from the report, the seedlings were there.
But interesting, these seedlings of 55 million plus, 55.9 million plus quickly. You know, OAG and the governor, you must give us numbers. Because, and you know, we have agreed maize comes from seed. Some of us, we farm maize, akina Sifuna and wanakula. That is, and they eat it very well. I know the time is very serious now. The point I'm trying to make, is it fruit seed? How many farmers? How many acreage? You know, that is the answer we are just looking
We
for.
have over 6,000 registered farmers. We have it in our inventory. Farmers across Mandera County, both riverlines and rainfields. But the seed and the seedlings, let me put it like that, I'm not a farmer, so I should be forgiven, is we give them all the schemes. They do maize, they do the potatoes, all types of farming along the river.
Governor, we must look at the compass. In accounting, seed are defined as biological assets. So they would not be here.
Yeah.
They would be biological assets. They would not be here. They would be capitalized. So tell us the right story, not the one you're telling us.
And Chair, you know, this is not an idle engagement.
Yes.
There was a time when we were told on Mazingira Day that we had planted 1 billion shillings worth of seedlings. And nobody could trace where those trees were. Because when I hear seedling, I know a tree. I've been to Mandera. I think we were invited to the senator's farm along the river there. They grow fruits, they grow mangoes, they grow all sorts of things. But it is something that is ascertainable. If I give farmers 10,000 avocado seedlings, I should be able to point and say those ones are the trees.
Yeah, they're there. I said it's possible. That's why I responded to the chair. It is can be
But in
verified.
accounting, we don't deal with possibility.
So
We deal with facts. Governor, I've just asked you a simple question. How many, you have said this is the farm, how many acreage? Is it in all of your sub-counties? How do you track the 55.9 million that today you can account? You know, Chair, we once listened to a story where a governor from near Kataya's county purchase fingerlings and then went and put on release it on the rivers and say they swam up and we don't know where they are. So the question, Governor, we want to put the numbers to the value.
It was actually
You know the money we are discussing, Governor, 55.9 million can do around 55 ECD classrooms or can do a number of water tracking in the area. So the question is as simple as this. Can you attach the seedlings, the money to seedlings and the seedlings to the farms, to the farmer? And how do you carry out to ensure that these 55 million watt seedlings are accessible or they can be traced to a particular farmer?
Senator,
and what were the yardstick you give to all the farmers?
And I think that's why I started by asking the Auditor General to give us an assurance, because the governor can tell us if he does not have evidence, he'll tell us stories. But the Auditor General is equipped to do an assurance. But from what I'm hearing, whatever you are calling an assurance on water tracking is a desktop sample. Whatever you are calling an assurance on seedlings is a desktop sample or a desktop review. Boots must be on the ground. And this is not an idle conversation, because 55.9 million plus another 32.8 million, that is 90 million, if it was going to be spent on things that cannot be tracked, and yet the county is facing drought, then we'll be irresponsible as a Senate to even continue talking. So, Auditor General, I come to you again. Is it your position that this 32.8 million, 55.9 million, 349 million, 12 million, the Senate should not be concerned? Or should we give you time to do a more comprehensive analysis? Let's hear from the Auditor General first, because if they're comfortable, then we'll give it the benefit of doubt.
Thank you, Chair. I'll invite my principal auditor who was on the ground, because from the report, the amount was supported, the seedlings, and the team went out to the field, and they went even up to Takaba to confirm the same. So, Mr. B.
Issue of seedlings, the ones which were verified are the 3 seedlings which were planted along the highway. Those ones were verified. Yes.
Along the highway?
Along
so those could constitute for what percentage of this 55 million? No, Auditor, you are the one who picked that sample. So that sample was like what value?
Like I'm seeing one for 3 million, not the whole amount.
3 million. We are talking 55 million. This county is suffering drought. This county, the governor has chosen to manage emergency response through line item budgets, and we need to find out why, instead of managing it through a fund. And Auditor, you must help us. You are looking like you are not sure whether to be on the side of the governor or on the side of the Senate. You don't have to be on anybody's side. You are an independent institution. You must be on the side of the truth.
And on the side of the people.
So if I'm going to say that the governor did very well by spending 349 million to supply relief food items, would you give us that assurance? Would we be able to stand in public and congratulate the governor that thank you for spending 55 million on trees, thank you for spending 349 million on relief? Would that be supported by the Office of the Auditor General?
Maybe from where I sit, we need to go and confirm. We do confirmation of the seedlings. We do 100% verification.
Well, it does not need to be 100%. Audit has never been 100%. Let's hear from ISPAC.
Yes, Chairman. I think I wanted to maybe to clarify to the auditors, as you say, they are supposed to come out clear. Just an example, For those counties that supply eggs even to the farmers, they first identify the farmers or the groups of women that deserves those particular hatched eggs or chicks for that matter. Then they do analysis and support them. Then they are able to follow up and identify that these chicks have grown into chicken at some particular point. So basically what the senators and the committee wants to know is there was a need for the seedlings. Which type of seedlings were these? Did they identify that these are the trees that are relevant in this region and they will be procured at a certain point? Then they were able to get the supply from a certain point. If you did a sample, then your sample should be representative, that it can now go further. You can even have photo evidences that these are the trees that were now planted at a certain point and they are growing and this is the expected value for the same. I think that is the dilemma we are getting from the audit to confirm that validity. And from a professional perspective, then clearly there is a gap, Chairman, that it is not on the ground that the seedlings are there.
This part, you are the marking scheme as a professional body. You are the one who provides the marking
scheme. As professional bodies, we are getting interesting feedback from our members that they are not able to ensure that we get value for the money or even follow the due process.
Chair, I think the ISPAC, I have a lot of respect for him, but he's completely out of order. He's trying to...
I am the one who declares people out of order,
but
not you.
What he's saying is that he's already declaring that there's no value for money, and yet he's not...
No, order, Governor.
Yeah.
We shall not allow anyone to cast aspersions on the professional body, especially non-members of the profession. Yeah. So please prosecute your point without casting aspersions on this.
Number one, thank you, Chair. On cash transfer, there is no cash transfer. The 12 million was actually money given to the orphanage in Mandera Islamic Center. So we support the orphanage and we give them 12 million per year. I wanted that to be clear. On the issue of seedlings, we are not talking about only seedlings. Under the CFS coding, the GFS coding, all the farm products or the support we give to farmers are under that code, whether it is seeds and seedlings and anything. When I mention about seedlings, we give apple mango to our people, we give avocado, and all of them are there along the river. It's not along the road. We don't plant farms along the road. I think there's something not adding up.
So
I can confirm.
Governor, at that point,
and then
at that point,
yes.
we seem to be on the same page,
yes.
Because I'm struggling to understand the approach taken by the auditor. Because if you say this 55 million was not just seedlings, it included seed, then they should go beyond the highway. They must go beyond the highway to provide that.
Actually, not the highway. We have farms and schemes along the river, and we have over 6,000 registered farmers, which we have their details, whether they are farms along the river or they are farms off the river. That is the rain-fed farms. And we do distribution along those rivers. So it is not only on seedlings. It is all the farm produce product that we give to our farmers is coded under that line.
Now, Senator Dulo.
Chair, I think this question, we should put it to the auditors. Because since devolution, we've been having this issue of seedlings bought.
But it has to be there.
And they are washed away by the river, or they have failed. These issues are there. Or maybe goats, cows bought, they have died. And I think as auditors, you should come up with a strategy of how you are going to audit those strategies put in place by, more specifically, northern Kenya and people within the agricultural area. Unless you do that, then we'll be having these stories where the money is spent is not accounted for. So I'm putting this to you, Patrick, especially at the headquarters. Can you help the country, the Senate, and the Kenyans? I thank you.
Patrick?
Thank you, Chairman.
Chair, Chair, yesterday we under a similar situation where we and an issue to do with our technicians. You know, Chair, we rely entirely on the OAG because they are the prosecutors. So on this case, Chair, we are getting some narrations without evidence. You know, seedlings are something physical. And I'm expecting maybe to have found some evidence maybe from the photos, even the data from the agriculture department. You know, what you are getting is just literature. That we spent 55 million on seedlings, which is not something that you cannot verify. These things are physical, these are supposed to have some data. So I think without castigating the OAG, I think they need to get serious and assist this committee move forward.
Okay, I think OIG, then we give directions
Yeah.
because we need to move.
Maybe before Pat talks, it's good because now it's like we are on the dock. But Chair, we gather evidence and we document in what we call teammate platform. So whatever we are saying, we are backed in our what we call audit working papers. The client may not have documented in their responses because we rely on what we see on the ground. We send people to the ground. Issue of seedlings and the seeds, the feeding program and what have you. Out of these, some of those sub-counties, and they gather information and they also document evidence. But I cannot give 100% assurance that you can count for the 55 million. But on a sample basis, what we have documented, what we have witnessed, can give us that level of assurance. Thank you, Chair.
So, no, Patrick, you wanted to say something because we need to take a position on this and agree on how you.
I just wanted to comment on the issue of providing that assurance, and the director has mentioned about it. But I can see from the system, auditors were able to look at how the contracts were awarded, who was being paid, the payment vouchers, how the deliveries were done, how the materials were received. That has been done. But what I'm getting from the officer who was on the ground is that these documents came last week. And when we were looking at the documents in the morning, Chairman, I saw some of the copies are ineligible. And if these are the copies that he got, Chairman, maybe you can make a decision and guide the auditors to go back to the ground and be able to verify and then come back to your committee, Chairman.
I think
so this matter is not closed.
Yes, I think Patrick, you have just made the right suggestion because we are alive to the fact that there are certain issues at the National Youth Service of a similar nature, where the paperwork is perfect, but it is alleged by the ESCC that deliveries were not made. We are not making similar allegations on the part of Mandera, and that's why I asked the auditor to give us the assurance. Without the assurance of the auditor, it would be difficult for us to confirm that the seedlings were delivered, the relief food was delivered, the water was tracked, and the $500 million worth of educational benefits were delivered. And perhaps maybe the auditor did not think about it that broadly when they were doing the audit, but it is possible for us to ask the auditor to go back and do a special audit, particularly on that particular line. Now, the reason why we picked this is obviously, this is a line where you budget for your response to drought, since you don't have a fund. The reason why we are here is you are non-conformance, because if this was in a fund, we'll be discussing this in a separate meeting for the emergency fund statement. But now we have to discuss it as a line budget item. And I hope in 2025, 2026, this practice is going to stop. Now, we are concerned if this is being run by the CCs and CEOs and different points and different centers, then accountability becomes slippery, as it is right now. Because I'm sure for seedlings, you might point us to the agriculture guy. For education, you might point us to the education guy. And for water tracking, you might point us to the water tracking guy. But if there's a fund administrator, it becomes one central point. Please, this provision was in the PFM 10 years ago. It is inexcusable that today you don't have it. So I think we will also reprimand the county for not doing that. But we demand a thorough audit of that expenditure. Now, Governor, you may have appeared before the devolution committee in the month of around February 2023. Senator Mohamed Chute had requested for a statement regarding the acquisition and distribution of relief supplies from the County Revenue Fund by the county government of Marsabit and neighboring county governments. And that inquiry extended to other counties, including Marsabit, Wajir, Turkana, Samburu, Isiolo, and Mandera counties. The devolution committee, having considered the submissions that you made before them, reached the conclusion that the issues raised require an in-depth analysis and audit query to further investigate the diversion of allocations for development for the purpose of purchasing relief food. This falls within the mandate of the County Public Accounts Committee, and therefore the devolution committee recommended that the matter be directed to the County Public Accounts Committee for further consideration. I want to take up that challenge from the devolution committee and in the specific case, ask the Auditor General for a thorough analysis on the expenditure on relief, expenditure on emergency response, expenditure on the educational support and educational benefits. And we'll agree, and I think since you're not very busy, I believe this is something you can achieve in the next 30 or 60 days. We'll agree on the scope, we'll agree on the timing. Members, if we don't resolve this, if we go ahead and start talking about one-third salary rule, and talk about ethnic diversity in Mandera, and talk about employment of persons with disability, very, very important. But if we don't provide assurance to the public and the people of Mandera that expenditure in relation to emergency and drought is above board, we will be wasting the time and resources of taxpayers. The only other matter that I thought we could give some attention as we wait for that detailed report, and then we'll call the governor to respond, is on pending bills. And Governor, you might miss the first part of your dedication, but we can spend 10 minutes on pending bills.
There are 15 minutes to prayers.
There are 15 minutes to prayers.
Yeah.
Chair, can I propose a way forward? Since we don't have clarity on the issue of, as you have directed on the issue of seedlings of 55 million, 49 and 382.3 million on relief services, you can direct that the OAG goes and gives us the breakdown and accountability of that amount, including the transfer that to the orphanages. How many are they? Because here it is indicated orphans of 12 million Kenya shillings, which is a more relevant and serious issue for Mandera. Chair, it would not make sense to go to trade payables or the pending bills, as they say now, because most likely they are still attached to the expenses that were done under relief services, because they are interconnected.
Okay, I think the mood of my members is to allow the governor to fulfill his religious obligation. And then that means, clerk, the next time we schedule Mandera, let's be careful not to schedule the county on a Friday. I think just being sensitive to...
Maybe, Chair, any other county that the governor is a Muslim, so
yeah.
Don't put it on
Friday.
So
I don't want any message to go out that the governor has had a free pass. It's just that concern. It's no free pass. We are still going to have an appointment. During that appointment, you will also need to, and please take note of this because this is a question we are going to ask. On pending bills, we have done a trend analysis. In 2020-2021, you had 890 million in terms of pending bills. In 2021-2022, it grew to 1.7 billion. In 22-23, it grew to 3 billion. In 23-24, it went down to 2 billion. And in the period under review, it went back up to 3.5 billion. We have another county appearing before a subcommittee with pending bills of 180 million. We cannot, it is unacceptable to have 3.5 billion of payments locked up in the county government's payments that are due to people who have done work for the county government. So this is a matter that we'll delve into a lot of detail when you reappear before us, as you also consider the expenditure on these items. And for avoidance of doubt, because sometimes the media might misreport us, what we are asking the Auditor General to do is to do a more thorough investigation on the 349 million spent on relief food, 32.8 million spent on tracking of water, 55.9 million spent on seedlings, and 459.9 million spent on education benefits, as well as the 12 million that the governor has indicated was a transfer to orphans and a transfer to the children's home. I think if we deal with those two issues, the rest of the bookkeeping, IPSA's issues are neither here nor there. I will adjourn the meeting to allow the delegation to proceed. I hope we apologize for infringing.